And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hello, everyone out there in Tampa Bay and beyond. This is James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Sports Podcast. I am here covering the Rowdies as per usual. I am not here with my usual co-host. Instead, I have our producer, Eureka, in to help out. So, Eureka, how are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. A little bit of thunderstorms and lightning. Very, very frightening. And hopefully we don't lose Wi-Fi, as I think we're in the vicinity over here of these storms. So,
yeah, we haven't seen too many clouds out here, luckily, so maybe it'll stay that way. But let's get into some other, let's say, some thunder, some excitement, at least. On Saturday night, the Rowdies went away from home over to Texas, and they won. This time, a 3-0 win. Continuing, is this a 4-game winning streak, Eureka? I think we're on 4 now.
It's 4 in a row, guys.
Yeah, wow, that is really wild to think about, considering where we were to start the year, of course. And so let's go through the RBLR Cup standings real fast before we get into the rest of the episode, because I'm sure that's where everybody else really wants to go. Yeah. In the standings, James, myself, and the guest spot are on 8 points. So congratulations to me and all of our guest spots. You're doing very well. Carlos sits on 7, and Eureka, you're on 4. I believe everybody again got at least a point in this last game because we all predicted wins. So but wait,
you got a crystal ball over there, buddy. You 3-0. You just were like, yeah, 3-0. That's good. And these guys in the 89th minute put it home for you, buddy. What a way to earn the points. Good job.
I said previously that, I like to go with my gut on this one, and then last week I said that I actually put some thought into this and I went with 3-0. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the future. We're going to have to see. I'm going to have a gut feeling as to whether or not to go with my gut feeling. we're getting way too deep into this, but
that's meta, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Meta. All right.
We have a game to preview tonight as well. That will be this upcoming Saturday when the Rowdies play again at home. So stick around, obviously, for that. And we want to say, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, everything there, as well as social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are, we are too. So please go there and like us, follow us, everything at RBLR Sports. Now, Eureka, if you could get us into the quick recap, and I think you have a place that you specifically want to start this off at.
First and foremost, everybody that came down to Berry House Beer Company to support the Rowdies and also support us with our very first watch party for about a month. We were, as we lose James here, we didn't see James at the party though, so this is fitting that he does that. First, I have to thank everyone that came. I tried to thank everybody personally for showing up, making it a complete success in every way. I mean, it was a who's who of everybody that you'd ever want to party with. Watching a Rowdy game, we had Amy Beamer, we had Mitch, we had Mark and Brad and significant others, and Jackie and Abby, and the list goes. David with this Tampa proper was in the building. Like, it was just, and the list goes on and on, guys. So next time, don't miss out. Like, please. There's a cool video we put out on the RBLR Rowdies. It's about 2 minutes long, kind of recapping the excitement and the chaos and the joy and the laughter that all happened there. So you could be part of it too. That's the last little pitch that I'll say, but stay tuned. We've got plans for the next one. It's in the works.
Exactly. So yeah, like Eureka said, stay tuned there, and we'll get into the game itself at this point.
Yeah. So the look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've been saying that for a few weeks now. The 11 was exactly the 11 that Neil he's tinkered, and now he figured it. Or at least these are the guys that are on the right form, and they're doing it at the right time. Of course, Sparrow and net. Then you had a back four again of Antley, Kleeman, Lasso, and Guillen. Right above them was our favorite Jan Ekra, Jordan Doherty, Dayon Harris, Dennis and Spalding in the midfield, and then at the very top you had JJ working in the box. So tale of two halves, I guess, James. We'll get into the details, but really the first half was RGV Toros really just owning possession, and they had the ball most of the half, and the Rowdies, when they had it, they didn't really make any gigantic chance. I mean, they had a couple chances, but nothing really materialized. But they couldn't get it in the first half, but they played solid defense, and that was about as good as you want. So it's 0-0 at halftime until the 64th minute. So in the second half, we get a penalty. We draw a penalty. Dennis gets it and then converts the PK. And then there were 2 late goals to end the game and give you your 3 points, give the Rowdies the 3 points, and win by 3 points, 3-0. So there you go. How about that?
Yeah. It's another very good, result. Obviously, it's another 3 points, which we need because we were lacking in the first part of the season. So there's a lot to be happy about here. And Eureka, I'm going to toss it to you with the first question, and then we're going to go through it. So, what did you see in the first half? Obviously, you went into it a little bit there, but break it down, and then we'll both go through it a little bit here.
Yeah, James, please correct me. But what I saw was, I'll reiterate that Toros had a lot of the possession in the first half.
Sure.
They were attacking wide. The Rowdies came out with the intensity that we've been wanting out of this team. A very aggressive high press, in my opinion. They were very, very, very on the ball and attacking. And so the RGV was able to kind of use that to their advantage. They were attacking wide against our 4-4-2, and it really, I think it kind of frustrated the Rowdies because they, at the very best, they were just getting a counterattack, and they were dynamic at times. It wasn't like, they just parked the bus. They would kind of sit back in their formation in a defensive shell. And then if there was transition, they were pressing very high. And when we could intercept the ball or move it down the pitch, they were doing all right in the counterattack. It was just that, again, they weren't able to make the connection at the very best of their attack in the first half. So defensively, though, I thought it was a really good effort. RGV had teeth. They definitely had their own chances, but it wasn't like they were just firing shots. I mean, I guess in the first 15 minutes, I have to first point out, Kleeman, a crazy recovery in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, he did.
Francois had the back line beat with a killer through ball from the midfield. And now it's just Francois one-on-one with Sparrow. And Sparrow's, in position, but you're one-on-one with the goalkeeper. A lot of times most of the time you think that's going to be a goal until Kleeman makes the recovery, dead on sprint, makes a tackle to avoid contact and poke the ball out. And I literally wrote in my notebook, the stones on this guy, because James, failure on that means that at the very worst, or at the best option out of that is that now Sparrow is one-on-one. Maybe Kleeman was able to, force the guy to move around. He doesn't make the tackle, but now Sparrow's still in a bad position for a shot. Or the worst option is we trip the guy. we have a PK, which is also just almost a certain goal. So that was the first thing that I saw. But Sparrow, on that same tip, was amazing in this first half. He made a bunch of one-on-one saves later on. I believe he had 5 saves in the first half. And that back line was getting torched and on another play, and Sparrow just bodies up Francois again, forces him kind of wide on the outside. And then when Francois goes to make his move, Sparrow makes what should be the save of the week. USL Championship has it nominated for it, a diving fingertip save from Connor Sparrow. So that's the kind of stuff that we saw. It was a heroic effort by the goalkeeper. It was an all right counterattack that just unfortunately wasn't able to produce anything. So on one hand, good defense. On the other hand, wish the offense was able to connect a little bit better. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty similar as far as I saw it. Obviously, I do think that we did get up to some pressing, but the way that we lined up, I guess that RGV had kind of seen what we've been doing recently, and fair play to them. That's how you should react when you see that a team is playing a certain way. It just makes sense, and they started to try to go and go at the places that were a little less covered. So yeah, like you said, kind of out wide on the wings, and maybe a couple of cutbacks here and there. But the chances that we saw, Cristiano Francois in particular, I think that one, and I'll give a little spoiler here that we did not choose. Neither of us chose Connor Sparrow as a man of the match for this game, but he was absolutely in consideration because of his play in the first half. If we don't get to the second half and it's 0-0, of course, it makes sense that, we wouldn't have been in the game the same way. But yeah, I think that, RGV really played to get around the way that we had been playing recently. And Neil Collins has shown this great flexibility recently where, he kind of wanted to start the season playing with 4 at the back, and then that wasn't working so much. So he switched it to 3 at the back like we've had. And then we have the wing backs that we are used to from the past couple of seasons. And that kind of got things back on track as we moved more into what we want to do this year, which is 4 at the back and have Dennis as a number 10, which probably also partly has to do with Leo Fernandez being out injured, of course. And, we don't have his services, but you play the cards you're dealt with, as the old saying goes. And he's done really well to kind of mix things up here. Now, if things aren't working like they weren't kind of in this first half, then he has the flexibility to go and play a different way. And we saw that too. So I think that it's really good that, the Rowdies have the Rowdies have always been known for having pretty good versatile players. At this level, you're going to have versatile players because you don't have enough money to spend on someone who is a specialist unless you're getting one of the most important players on the field. So that's going to be a goalkeeper, of course, or that's going to be your striker. Almost certainly those are going to be the most important two. Yeah. So you can try to spend a lot of money on that. Fair enough. Otherwise, I think that you kind of need to use the money that you have to get the versatile players, and the Rowdies are very good at that. Ryan Spalding is very good when it comes to playing either defensively or attacking. Dayon Harris has been getting, I would say, better at it, but he's also, doing more on the attacking side, like we all know that he would. Yeah. And then Charlie Dennis is, a pretty good two-way midfielder, but he's also a number 10 in the midfield, I think, naturally. And it has just been working out for him so well recently. I cannot think of someone who has played exactly that position and exactly the way he has. Because last year, Leo Fernandez was kind of similar, but he was also more just he could go wherever he wanted almost. And Charlie Dennis kind of has that freedom, but also not to the same degree because he still does a lot of defensive work. So it's just really good to see it all working out the way it is.
Well, and I think for the past month, really, we've been talking about Spalding and this dynamic offense that he provides and the spark of energy that he provides. The defense is what really stood out to me because, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but they got a 4 back, but they kind of dropped Spalding back in that defensive shell as almost like a 5th guy in the back there. And they continue to do that. I know we'll talk about this in just a second, but with the formation change in the second half, they still brought back Spalding into that when they weren't attacking, they fell back into a 4 or 5 back with Spalding being the guy on the outside wing there. So I think he did a great job. He didn't get, we had 1 assist, right? But he didn't have the as much of an output as he had in the previous games. But he was just as impactful on both sides of the pitch, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, and this is going to come a lot more when we get into the second half here, with the notes that I have. But Ryan Spalding he's been so key as a signing, but it's really very intelligent play that we've seen from him. The ability to go up and, get into the attack and do very well there. Yeah. Also the ability to know when to do that and when not to, and when to stay back so that he can, make sure that someone is covered. And that's kind of how we neutralized RGV in the second half and moved into the actual attacking effort that we really wanted to see.
Yeah. Well, going into that second half, bringing on Cal Jennings at the half for Kleeman. At first, it's like, wait, we're doing what? Jennings isn't going to be in that back four, right? And it was like, we're doing some sort of shifting, and it was apparent that they shifted formation, went back to that 3-5-2, and at that point it was full steam ahead. It was they had the intensity, they had the effort. It was just, I think, a 4-4-2, putting that extra guy forward, it was able to kind of break that stalemate and have more possession in the second half, at least to bring it at first kind of 50-50. But then it was, I mean, once Ekra feeds that ball into Dennis in the box, he turns around, gets tripped, the PK gets called, Dennis draws first blood, and now it's you kind of fall into the trap where now RGV has to play more aggressively, but by doing that, they're going to open themselves up to more passing lanes and kind of fall right into where we want. Like, intensity is the name of the game, because not only we want to be intense, but we want you to kind of get off your guard and kind of overcommit, so that now we can kick it over the top to Dayon. You can work you have Ekra and Jodo who can thread the needle in between. Spalding literally drew 2 defenders off later on in this half, draws 2 defenders off, threads the needle through both of them, and then Dennis just one touch with his left right past the keeper. So, just so many more better chances created in the second half than the first. And part of that is the formation change to kind of spread things out, go a little bit wider ourselves, get out of that middle. And Dennis and Jennings just had a lot of mojo in their 2-man game. Spalding, obviously, with Dennis. And JJ's running around there. JJ didn't get on the scoreboard, but JJ was in the box creating gravity, his presence was absolutely felt. And that opens it up for everybody. So for all that possession that the Toros had, they only had 2 shots on target in the second half. So you gave up 3 goals and you only had 2 shots on target. That's not going to spell success. So we were having a blast at the bar. The second half we were singing and chanting and getting everyone involved. There were people around the bar filming us for Instagram Live that didn't know what we were doing. They just knew we were having a blast, and it was because of all those changes and all that offense that we had. What did you see, James? Second half?
Yeah, the second half, obviously Ryan Spalding stepping back a little deeper was very important there.
Okay.
I think that also, Cal Jennings for Kleeman was the big one, but you can't do that without having somebody kind of come back. And Ryan Spalding was the one who, helped shore up on the back line. So I think that all of that is very important. And it's just what I go back to again. It was the point that I was making about versatility here. And that's just, it's not just versatility with the players, but that leads to Neil Collins being able to make those options that, if he's like, okay, today we're going to stick with our 4 at the back and we're going to build up through the players in front of it like that. Okay, that's not actually working. This team is built to kind of neutralize that. Well, now we can go to this other formation, which also we can do very well, suits us very well. And they don't know how to handle this one because they're set up to handle it a different way. They would then have to make their own substitutions to try to handle what the new situation presents to them. It's all, you can keep a team on the back heels that way.
Yeah.
Although I guess RGV originally had us on the back heels, but we didn't give anything up. So as long as you can keep yourself in the game, then, there's always that chance. And I think that additionally, keeping ourselves in the game was a problem because in the first half of the season, we're not even through that, but the first part of the season, we were not keeping ourselves in the game. We had a lot of stupid mistakes. Let's just be honest about that. A lot of stupid mistakes, a lot of fouls that shouldn't have been given, a penalty that shouldn't have been given, but it was still a stupid foul, even if it wasn't in the box itself. These are all things that have been kind of pretty much cut out. I'm sure that we can nitpick here and there. For instance, that play that Freddie Kleeman made the fantastic recovery tackle on it. Unfortunately, it was also his slow reaction that led to it. But, like 100%. I said, he did recover. So, it's just all of these things are coming out very good. And when it still comes back to partially, though, again, Ryan Spalding and his being able to play up and down the wing and knowing when to do it. It's all of these things because playing at 5 at the back was the way that was going to get us the points against RGV, and obviously it did. But without all of the players that we already had on the field, then that doesn't really work out. So I'm hopeful that, we kind of have a solution no matter who we come up against here. And I'm sure that there are more than 2 ways to play soccer, but Neil Collins obviously has 2 very good ways at the moment for the team that he's got and the players that are playing underneath him.
Now, I had a question for you. Please, could you talk about Jordan Doherty kind of being that pivot man in the middle of the midfield? Like, I think I've seen John Morrissey was talking about his importance in the middle of the field. Could you explain what you saw out of Doherty specifically in the midfield in this game?
Yeah, Jordan Doherty is so Lewis Hilton is obviously out. That's why Jordan Doherty is playing the role that he is right now, and he's playing it extremely well. He is he's just kind of taken. I mean, I think that we always knew that he had a good defensive aspect to him, even in the previous stint that he had with the Rowdies. What we have seen now is a lot more, maybe. And I started this season saying that it was a lot more athleticism. I don't know if it's like he's literally fitter, because that doesn't necessarily make sense. Just because as you get, it's not like he's an old man, but as you get older, you are not able to run as much as the year before. That's just, that's kind of how it works up until
I'm learning that the hard way, James.
Up until a certain point. So I doubt that I'm right in saying that he is literally fitter than he was. And besides, he was a professional athlete during all of those years. He's going to be a certain level of fitness regardless. You kind of have to pass fitness tests to get through the preseason.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like he went to Ireland and he picked up a bit of bite in the midfield, He's like Lewis Hilton is known for his abilities on the ball. He's also known for his abilities defensively. And that's why we love him so much, because he is very good at taking the ball, turning the other way and finding somebody in space. But then he's really good at stopping other teams from kind of trying to build up the plays that they want to build up. And he's like the Marshall who kind of sets the Rowdies up to do that. Jordan Doherty has come in and he's been able to do that. I'm not sure if I hear him on the field. I'm not sure if I hear Lewis Hilton on the field when I'm there. I feel like I hear other people. That is when it's over, Ralph's mob that I can't hear. But it's just his evolution this year has been very good. He started out as one of the right center backs in our 3-back system, and then he moved into the midfield when Lewis Hilton went out. And we still don't have a time frame on when he's going to be back. So at this point, the job kind of seems like it's Jordan Doherty's to lose, and I don't see that he's going to give it up anytime because he's got all his bases covered. He was even doing some of that, fantastic crossing that we saw from Lewis Hilton all those years. So I'm really impressed with him. If he keeps playing this way, he's going to grow into a player that the Rowdies need as opposed to the Rowdies have, So I'm ecstatic that we have a player like this, and I'm ecstatic for him also.
Yeah, it seems like, a lot of the stuff that didn't end up in the score sheet, but that helped. That the midfield was just locked down. I think Ekra made a few good defensive stops. Jordan Doherty in both transition and in defense was just holding it down. And you lose a guy like Hilton. We keep bringing this up over the last month, but it's like, guys, they're missing their 2 probably best players, and they found solutions to it. It took a little bit, but we are in the run of form where it's kind of like they didn't skip a beat. They just keep going for all the good reasons, all the good things you'd want to say out of that. So, what I was going to ask, kind of talking on that run, was there anything you wanted to talk more about this particular game before we go into more of a kind of a macro view?
I want to reiterate that JJ Williams and Cal Jennings have been very good for us as well at different points.
Yeah.
But seeing them play together hasn't really worked so far. This game was better. It wasn't the best, but it was better. And Cal Jennings' goal, I will say, that kind of reminded me of a couple of goals that I saw him score when he was with Las Vegas last year. That's what it was. When he was with Las Vegas, he scored a couple of goals where he just like out of nowhere, he turned someone and then suddenly he's got acres and acres of space. He's isolated himself and then he beats somebody and then he's ready to run and he goes straight on goal and he scores a wonder goal. So, that's not a partnership working so much as JJ Williams is opening up space for Cal Jennings, who then takes advantage of it. But if it continues to happen in the future, no one's going to mind, of course. But I like the way that they, kind of worked it out a little bit better this game than I've seen them do in the past. And I would like to, see it again if we go back to 3 at the back again and we do our 3-5-2 that we have seen in the past. So I don't know. It's just there are a lot of you got to have a lot of ways to score because teams are going to try to defend you like every way that they have seen you score pretty much. So I think that we have all of these options that appear to be like kind of showing themselves more regularly. And maybe that's false. Maybe we're like reading too much into it, but I think that I don't think so.
I like it a lot because, we complained a lot at times last year about like crosses to nowhere. Like that's the only play they run is get it out to the wing. It's a Dayon Harris cross into the box and too far. Oh, not enough. Oh, didn't get it. This iteration of the Rowdies, they do that very excellently. Spalding has been just a masterclass. He can cross, but he can also put it in between two guys on the ground.
It's
get
very
it back
precise.
into the middle. It isn't just a hope and a prayer. It's precision. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's sort of where I wanted to go with if we within the scope of this game, but also now it's one of a series of games that we have 4 wins in a row. And the defense looked great. We've only given up 1 goal in the last month in league play. And I was thinking, some of my notes are like, why is this again another series here where it's a clean sheet? And I'm all about those, man. Another Krispy Kreme video coming from Forrest Lasso, and here we go. And I think it starts with that intensity on the press. They mark their man from the first whistle. They basically shut down their midfield, Ekra and Doherty, like I said earlier. They dropping Spalding back as a kind of a tinker with that 3 to 4 to 5 back, and then Sparrow's just been after his big mishap, his naivety, as Neil said in the press game or post game presser. After that boneheaded move by Sparrow that gave up that goal, he's just been lockdown. I mean, I don't know if it was like I mean, he has given almost nothing to be that mad about. He's been really good in goal. So all about that. So it's just like, well, and Guillen, we haven't even talked about Aaron Guillen in this game. Aaron Guillen, I think Kleeman and Lasso got torched. Kleeman made that one step, but like in the first half, it took a while for them to settle in.
Yeah.
But Guillen was a force this entire game. I thought he did a wonderful job, and he's the captain. He's definitely our steady presence there, but he plays the full 90. He makes all the passes. He can distribute. He one-on-one made tackles. He got in front of balls. He had multiple blocks in this game. He could clear the ball. He got into lanes and intercepted passes. I mean, it was just everything you'd want out of that all-league defender. Aaron Guillen was in full force, and they needed every bit of that in the first half to keep RGV off the board, and it just continued even when we weren't on the attack for most of the second half. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's a series of clean sheets, a series of great defensive play. It's just everyone pitching in, but you're getting these masterclass performances from Guillen on the back line as well.
And I will say real quickly about Aaron Guillen, he is the only player who has started all of our games so far this year in the league. I don't remember if he started both of our games in the Open Cup. I kind of doubt it, but I at least know every single game in the league he has started. So, that's the the only guy to have done that, including our goalkeepers, because obviously Phil Breno had to start the season. So, yeah, pretty good stuff, obviously, from him. Now, Eureka, let's get our last question before we do our man of the match here.
Yeah. What our last question was? Well, that was my last question I had. What'd you have on the docket? Do you change it?
No, just I think that everything that we've mentioned here, I think that the only point that I had remaining that kind of has to do with the macro level. It also has to do with off the field. Neil Collins is staying at the club.
Okay. I thought we were going to bring this up in the extra time, but
yeah, we're gonna get to it later. I don't want to spend more than 15 seconds on this, but just this is what we're dealing with in terms of the coaching staff, and it's not going anywhere, at least yet. So, we're in good hands.
Hands. Oh man, I brought it up in the pregame, our live pregame show that we did from the Berry House Beer Company, and at the watch party that was awesome, and you all should have been there. And I can't wait to do another one because it's gonna be so good. But I brought that up as a key to the game was the mentality. It was you just dealt with a week or two of open rumors. And as much as I enjoyed you and I kind of being the most popular Americans in Walsall, or the second and third most popular Americans in Walsall, I guess, there's no world I want to live in right now that Neil Collins goes away from us. Like I'd put that there where it's like we could finally get out of the. I mean, who knows how much it leaked in the locker room, but. People were talking that Neil has this opportunity. It's the second year in a row now that he's had links to an overseas team. And we all, I think we can all see he's an ambitious and young coach that has a very long career ahead of him. And it's because of what he's done here. So to get all those rumors kind of dispelled, where they could focus on the game, focus on their match. I thought that was it's a great point to bring up. So yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it.
Let's avoid going deeper into that than what we did. Beautiful. But it's mentality. Okay. It is all very good, and everything appears to be trending up for the Rowdies. So Eureka, let's do our man of the match. Who is your man of the match for this one?
Yeah, he's pretty good at putting the ball in the net, and that's Charlie Dennis. What can you say about him that we haven't been saying? I mean, he's been our man of the match many times this year. I hope that he continues that trend, and he's my man of the match every single night for putting two in the back of the net. But he created the play, that created the penalty opportunity, and then he buried it. And as much as you want to think that's a given, we've had a couple guys in the past that couldn't get it done in the PK. When we needed it the most, and Charlie Dennis, that's what he's been doing. One game, it was the only goal we scored, and he was the guy that did it. And in this game, he not only put that one away, but he was able to one-touch the left footer across, making the goalkeeper make a diving save that he could not do. It's been beautiful, beautiful offensive performance from Charlie Dennis, and he's not just all offense. He's part of that midfield that shuts things down. So it's all top marks for me for Charlie Dennis.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And to follow up with that, I will say we named this man the man of the match, or I did, 2 weeks in a row. He took a week off, and now he's back on it. It's Ryan Spalding, folks.
Yes, sir.
Ryan Spalding has been just a genius signing by the Rowdies coaching staff.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they're watching of MLS Next Pro. I don't know if there is a person who's dedicated to that week in, week out. I don't know exactly where they knew of Ryan Spalding to go and get him, but my God, has he turned into one of the best signings of this season for any team, I think, in the entire league. He has 3 assists on the year. I think that's in 6 games. So assist every other game. Not that friggin' bad, huh? But in addition to that, it's not just his attacking output. We've mentioned this already. Ryan Spalding is the reason that it worked out in the second half a lot.
Yeah.
We played in the first half in a formation that wasn't really suiting us in this game. As you mentioned, the possession was not good. The possession stats bear that out. It was actually 61 to 39% possession for RGV at the end of the game. So you have to imagine how much of that was in the first half, you know?
Yeah.
Then in the second half, we switch things up. We go to a formation that has a left wing back involved. Aaron Guillen hasn't really played as a left wing back. He's played as a left back, but not someone who's kind of on that, hugging the touchline and supposed to get up the wing like that and cut in. So Ryan Spalding has done that. And boy, has he ever just blown me away with his performances. I'm so happy that he is at this team. If he comes back permanently, I will be, hooting and hollering for us to go and win a trophy.
A revelation. I know Dan and Anino is going to be very, very happy that we named him man of the match. He wants him to be man of the match every single week. And we'll get into some awards and who got snubbed on those for team of the week. We'll get into that a little bit later. But we've been waxing poetic about Ryan Spalding. Now, if only the announcers on the away guys could have figured out that he was not Zach Arivo for the first half. I don't know if you guys caught this, but the entire first half of the broadcast, they called Ryan Spalding Zach Arivo, who was not in the 11 and was not on the bench, and I don't even know if he was at the game, but he definitely wasn't. He definitely wasn't wearing Ryan Spalding's jersey and kicking butt for the first half of
the guy can see Ryan Spalding's jersey number, jersey name, and like you said, Zach Harivo's not at the stadium most likely. If he is, he's probably up in the stands next to the announcer. Anyway.
Look, hey, everyone makes mistakes. Just do better, guys. Do better. Come on. This is professional soccer. Let's do it. We're all rooting for everyone to get it right, because it's tough when you're watching your team with other people, like in the hands of other people's announcers, and they just can't. They can't get out of there. They got their little box of their 1 or 2 notes they have on every player. And it's like, come on, guys. This is the guy who's been winning awards every week from the league. You should probably know who he is. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
Well, you got to get on to your next soapbox here.
Guys, like we just passed 150 something subscribers on YouTube. We're over 500 followers on Instagram. We're closing in on 1,300 followers on Twitter. And all of that is absolutely free. And if you haven't done that already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get on social media, do all that. But if you want to help us out just a little bit more, pop on over to the shop, shop.rblrsports.com. We've got designs that celebrate the Rays and the Rowdies and the Lightning and the Bucks and all of the sports that we enjoy here in Tampa Bay. I hope that you like the designs that we've cooked up there. We're always trying to think of new ones. And if you happen to like one of them, here's a promo code for you. COYR. That's Come On You Rowdies. COYR will get you 10% off every single thing that you would like to purchase. There's some hats that I've been working on. There's a new baseball t-shirts like Randy Rosarena literally dunking on the Yankees saying, El Dinero no batea. Like, money doesn't bat. The money doesn't come to bat. That's a new shirt that's on the website. So guys, get there. You can choose. There's different. Most of the designs come in different colors too. If you don't like the black on the Bring Back the Devil, choose it. There's purple. There's yellow. There's a ton of different options that you can do on pretty much every single t-shirt. I make that design in mind that for many different colors that you might enjoy. So that's the little thing you can do for us. Again, COYR gets you 10% off everything in the store. So.
All right. And with that stirring ad, we need to move into our preview for the next game.
I don't know about stirring.
So yeah, this Saturday we have another game. The schedule never stops. Soccer never sleeps.
Let's go, baby.
There's always a game on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this weekend, Saturday at 7:30, the Rowdies will host the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. This is part of the new league thing where everybody plays everybody, including
Yes.
on both conferences. So we
Yes.
will be the ones hosting Colorado Springs this year, and that's kind of cool because I know that the only time that I remember us playing them, I know we have played them other times. The only time that I remember, we went away and it was a bad game. So yeah, let's get into the preview here. So,
Yep.
Eureka, I don't know if you've seen this on the USL website. The Rowdies are second in the East. However, on FOTMob,
Yeah,
which
that's
we
correct.
use, the
That's
Rowdies
correct.
are fourth
We're
in
fourth.
the East because there are three teams that are level on. There are three teams that are level on. I believe it's 17 points. It is 17 points.
Yes.
Three teams that are level on 17 points, and then I don't know what the tie is after that. What it breaks down to next. I thought it was goal differential. And if it's goal differential, then obviously that's why we would be in fourth place, like
Yeah.
FOTMob has us. But
Mhm.
for whatever reason, the standings on the USL website are not correct. So we're not going to count that. We're just going to say what we assume is correct here, which is, I think, the goal differential tiebreaker anyway. So all of that out of the way. The Rowdies are fourth in the East. Let's just go with fourth instead of second because I think that's correct. And Colorado Springs are fifth in the West. So they have had 5 wins overall this year, but it should be noted their last 3 games have all been losses, 3 straight losses coming into ours. So if you don't want to talk about form, it's a little rocky for them right now, or whatever.
I see what you did there.
Whatever switchbacks are.
I see what you did there.
So yeah, Colorado Springs have a lot of formational flexibility, and that allows them to play a couple of different ways, just like the Rowdies. But they do also like to use wingbacks pretty heavily. So in that sense, they're a bit like the Rowdies, and I think that it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see who can kind of make this work the best. Like who either goes with what they want to do or who kind of switches things up, and if that works out. They have switched in net between Christian Herrera and Joe Kuzminski lately. I think Christian Herrera is considered the number one, but Joe Kuzminski did get a couple of starts, so maybe there was a couple of poor performances, or maybe there was an injury concern that I just did not find in their record. I could not see that. Anyway, that's something to keep in mind. In front of them will often sit Duke LaCroix, Oscar Agren, and Matt Mahoney. So that is like their 3 players in the back. If you can think of this in more Rowdies terms, it would be like Aaron Gein, Forrest Lasso, Jordan Scarlett for years in the past.
Right.
Then it will be Pat Segrist and Malik Foster, most likely as the fullbacks, if they go with that. That has how they have mostly been lining those 2 spots up, but there is a little bit of flexibility again with the selections for the wingback positions. In midfield, a very common trio that I have seen is Speedy Williams, Drew Skundrich, and Steven Echevarria. Those are 3 players that almost start every game that I looked at. So the likelihood that they will be out there is still pretty high. Obviously there could be other players that step into their positions too. But again, this is what I have seen over the course of several of their games. And the players that kind of switch around up top are Jairo Enriquez and Romario Williams for the most part. But Deshane Beckford is a very important player, and he's been getting a lot more starts recently. So those are all players to keep in mind. Moving into it, Rowdies fans are very likely to be familiar with Speedy Williams. He played for the Miami for, I don't know, however the hell long it was, but he's a very good player in this league. He also played for New York Red Bulls 2 back when they were actually pretty good, and he's played a lot for the Jamaican national team. So, I mean, it's cool that a player in the USL has played for the Jamaican national team against the top Mexican team, the top American team, and so on. But Speedy Williams is obviously a very talented, very important player, and he's going to be somebody that we kind of need to try to shut down if at all possible. We'll see. However, the other players that we need to look out for are Romario Williams up top. He has 4 goals on the season. Obviously, that is a very good turnaround and a very good record. He's going to be very important for them as well. And Deshane Beckford has 3 assists. So that's probably why he's been working his way into the rotation of their starting lineup quite a bit recently. Colorado Springs, Also, based on their last 3 games and their 3 straight losses, they're going to, want to take this game and get back on track. They want to, they're going to want to take this and stop losing, of course, but they want to, get those 3 points and get back up the table to where they were, where they think they're supposed to be, all of those kinds of things. And they're probably going to have last year's game in mind. Last year, when we went away to Colorado Springs, we played them, and it was a very poor game. Yeah. I remember, I don't know if you and I covered this one, Eureka, or if it was Carlos, or possibly even when Leo was still here. I don't remember exactly.
It might have been Leo, yeah.
But the game was awful. I remember the game was so bad, and it was a 1-0 loss, but we just played poorly. Like, we never looked like we were in it at all. And it was like, it was a deserved loss is kind of how I thought of it at the time. So they're going to have that in mind. They're going to want to do that again, and they're going to want to try and get those 3 points here. It's going to be an interesting game.
You brought up Deshane Beckford. I mean, I think that dude is a crossing machine. I'm glad you brought up that they play a lot like the Rowdies, and they kind of do a lot of the same tactics. And it's like, because they've been tearing it up over the last few years over in the Western Conference, which I didn't think was real until we had to start playing them. But Deshane Beckford, man, he's on pace for about 5 crosses a game, which is the most of either of these 2 teams. He generates about 3 shots a game as a fullback, and on defense, he's active and he mixes it up, man. So he was a dude, and he draws fouls too. Like he's a guy that I really admired looking up and seeing a lot of the stats that he's doing, because he's got counting stats, but he also has these little like intermediate in between the thing stats that create opportunity, create chances, and that's he's obviously created assists on the top. So he makes things happen. But one guy that I did want to ask you about is Matthew Mahoney. He kind of seems like their steady presence. He doesn't really fill up stat sheets or anything, but like he's always scoring highly in player score on FOTMob, and he's kind of like always battling on their back line, kind of like a Kleeman or a Lasso or something like that, right?
Yeah, Matt Mahoney is a player that I remember from years past that, he was kind of just like very highly rated, but kind of quietly going about his business kind of player. Okay. I think that Forrest Lasso, when he was at his best, he was, he was a player who was shutting everything down, but he's also naturally a very charismatic guy. He's loud. He's obviously large. He's a big man. He's got the hair. He, as Ryan Davis calls him, he's the lumberjack at the back.
Yeah,
he is legitimately a very big presence. Matt Mahoney doesn't have all of those things going for him, so I think that he just doesn't make the headlines like Forrest Lasso might have in the past. But I know going through the stats to prepare this preview and the upcoming preview article, keep an eye out for that online.
Oh yeah.
But going through the stats, it was actually the leader at the back was Jimmy Ockford. He was a player who he hasn't really been starting as much recently. Yeah. He has gotten a couple starts here and there, but Jimmy Ockford is the guy who had like the most interceptions, the most duels won, like all of these things. His name was actually at the top of all of those lists. But Matt Mahoney, I know, is definitely a player who is worth mentioning on the defensive side, because he's a no-nonsense, goes about his business, but also extremely effective type of defender. And he knows how to shut people down.
Yeah, not what we want to hear. And the last guy I was going to ask you about is Pat Segrist. I think it's a name that he's a pacey back that pushes up on offense. And when he shoots, it's pretty quality. I think he has the 3rd best XG per shot for either team. But he can battle in the air as well, and he wins 50-50 most of his tackles. So he isn't a pushover. And another guy I wanted to ask you about specifically what you think about Pat Segrist and how they're going to attack the Rowdies with him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be an important part of that, because if you play a team that has wingbacks heavily involved, those wingbacks are going to be heavily involved in the attack, obviously. That is one of the ways that you generate chances, is by using the wingbacks. Just ask the Rowdies. But Pat Segrist is a player who I think went to Indiana University or Notre Dame. It was one of those big schools, and he was drafted out of MLS, went to the New York Red Bulls, or into MLS, went to the New York Red Bulls, and he played a couple of times, but he just didn't quite make the grade, which is, it's hard to do. So fair enough. Drop
Okay.
down a level and see if you can make it. And he has done extremely well since then. So I think this is his first year with Colorado Springs, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's definitely a very good player in those terms. And one thing that he is known for is his ability to get forward. I think that, every so often it does leave him open at the back. I don't know if he's the most culpable of that across the whole league, of course, but he's going to be somebody that we need to keep an eye out on. And I think honestly, what it's going to come down to, he's on the left side. If Connor Antley continues to start like we have seen, it's going to be on him to kind of prevent that. And Connor Antley can be a very good one-on-one defender. I really like his anticipation. It's going to be his ability to defend one-on-one against someone who already has the ball at their feet for the most part. I do not believe, from everything that I've seen, that Pat Zegras is a player that they're going to try and play a ball that he then runs onto. I think they're going to be, I think he's going to be a guy that they play it to his feet and he tries to beat somebody that way. So Connor Antley's one-on-one defending will come into play there. Yeah, like I said, Connor Antley's anticipation defending is where I think he thrives the best. So, yeah, we're going to have to see exactly how he does on that one.
Yep. All right. I guess it's time for you to earn 3 more points, James. What's well, so I'll tell you what I got. Carlos unfortunately wasn't able to be with us today, but he did send in his prediction 2-0 to the Rowdies. I have us had a 1-1 draw. I think that these guys, they're for real. This isn't a pushover. They're not on a good streak, but they're going to be looking to kind of exploit some of the things. Some of that back line at times it has been opening up a couple holes. We haven't been bitten yet, but it could have been. And that's kind of how they play is they like to, they can shoot from outside the box. They were sort of not 50-50. They had 7 shots outside the box and 5 inside the box, but they like to pound the rock into the box. And so that's your big matchup for me is can this back line, which I really, really, really hope they do, can this back line keep the ball out of the net? And for that reason, I think we'll score. I think they'll score, and I think it'll be a well-earned, and I think we'll be happy that we get the draw because this team is going to have teeth, and they're going to come out, with intentions, to get their form back on track. Our guest, James, before we get you as the main event, Amy Beamer, who was at the watch party, was awesome. She brought some friends. Amy Beamer comes in with a 2-1 Rowdies, prediction with a disclaimer that she, quote, has no knowledge of Colorado or their soccer. So take that for what it is. But you know what? Beamer's going with 2-1 for the Rowdies, and my heart agrees with that more than my brain made a 1-1 draw. So what say you, James?
Yeah, based on everything, I am going to go with a little bit more thought into it. Not my gut feeling, because my gut feeling is like, oh, the Rowdies have to win here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a draw as well. And I'm going to say it's going to be the dreaded 0-0 draw. I'm going to say that this one is one of those that the soccer, the people who, don't like the game so much, they complain about. Unfortunately, I'm going to say that's the result here.
James, I got to change my prediction because I got to make some points up here. I do. And I'm gonna pull my executive card and do that. I'm going 1-0 to the Rowdies. How about that? 1-0 to the Rowdies. You know what? Everything I just said, throw it out the window. Clean sheet. These guys are gonna have teeth, and I think not only are we happy to keep them off the scoreboard, but we get one as well. So I need the 3 points. I need to move up the standings. 1-0 to the Rowdies.
All right. Well,
I'm coming for you, Knowles. I'm coming for you, buddy.
And the guest spot.
And the guest spot too. God.
Now, Eureka, let's take one step back and move into extra time here because there is something from this last week that we haven't. I guess there are 2 things from this last week that we haven't covered. First of all, Charlie Dennis and Aaron Guillen made another USL Team of the Week. So congratulations to both of them. It should also be noted that Sparrow and Spalding made the bench. Honorable mention, I suppose it is. But yeah, two more Rowdies on a USL Team of the Week. We're just racking those up again, you know.
And Sparrow probably would have been the goalkeeper of, I think, the Steinwashers who got it. He made like the same amount of saves and everything that Steinwasher did, but Steinwasher assisted a goal this week. So it's like, what can you do? So that doesn't happen that much. Yeah.
All right. Well, Eureka, if you want to take this one, I'll take the last point, and then we should be good here, and we can send everybody on their way.
Yeah, well, the happiest news that I ever heard in my life regarding Walsall was that they named a new manager, and it was not Neil Collins. So I made that tweet that you could hear the exhalation of the Tampa Bay Rowdies fan base because they hired from within. They made all that, not that this is a Walsall podcast, but their new American ownership made all this open letter about how they're going to change everything, and that's why we were so I think we were worried because they were like, we need someone to come in and instill a system and instill a heart and passion and whatever and discipline and whatever they were saying. And then they just they interviewed 4 or 5 guys, mostly from the Scottish Premier League, and including Neil Collins, who's Scottish himself. I don't know what the James, there was something in the water in the Scottish Premier League, but they ended up not getting any of those guys and just pulling the interim guy they slapped the tag with and made him the gaffer. So hey, good luck to you, and stay away from Neil Collins. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it had something to do, and I don't know if this is actually true or not, but they are nicknamed the Saddlers, and his name is Matt Sadler. So,
oh no.
If that has anything to do with it.
Matt Cox is like cheering. He just leaped from his seat on that pun. He's like, no, well, I mean, we could get serious here and say, like, I don't know what the offer, because I couldn't confirm it with anybody on the record, but like he got offered the job in some form of fashion, or at least they were in talks from what I heard, and no one will tell me on the record, but my gut feeling is that that they offered him something, but they must have offered a number of the 5 guys that they brought up. So I think they lowballed these guys for the real. I mean, it is an opportunity. Don't get me wrong, but for the level of opportunity that it is, and the level of like the lifestyle that would have to change, I think that number was probably very, very low.
Right.
And it would take now, if some team came in with a very, very high number, maybe we're talking a different thing. But that's my tea leaves that I'm reading. I don't have anything to report on that. But if you interview 5 different people and you don't settle with any of them, I think that says more about the ownership group and what they were willing to do to instill the change that they want.
It just might. And my email requesting comment to the ownership group was not returned. So
yeah, I mean,
I got nothing there.
You and I think we were sending out probes everywhere. We really tried to get to the bottom of this story. And I applaud you. You wrote a really good article, kind of letting everyone know who Neil Collins is, and I think it was a good refresher to us as well. I mean, as a fan base, maybe about like, let's take nothing for granted. Let's enjoy in the moment what we have, and we've seen it with good form over the last month, and I hope that it continues all the way to a championship. So.
Crossing our fingers.
Yeah.
But let's move now on to the last point, because we have Neil Collins in the bag, is what we know.
Yes.
But the last point here is just an interesting bit of USL news.
Okay.
There was a trade in the USL. So if anyone remembers from before the season, Memphis FC did not let Philip Goodrum go to a different team. I don't know if that was in Europe or not. I honestly don't remember. Either way, he was linked with a move away, and they did not let him do that. They did not allow him to cancel the contract, I think, that he had with them to go. Regardless, it hasn't really gone either team's way, or either party's way, I should say.
Yeah.
And they traded him to FC Tulsa for FC Tulsa's appearance, goal, and assist leader, Rodrigo da Costa. So, trades are kind of what drive a lot of fan engagement in other leagues. I was just reading about this, a piece from Paul Tenorio in The Athletic, and he was complaining that MLS doesn't really allow fans to know what's going on behind the scenes with their stupid convoluted rules. And it's to the detriment of the league, because a lot of people just over the course of like an NBA and NFL season, they're like, oh, we could do this with this money and we could move that guy there and all this stuff. Sure. Supposedly, I will say I'm not, I don't really follow any other major sports in America, so I don't know, but he says that MLS is losing out on a large part of fan engagement by not allowing this, because they have everything so opaque and so crazy. And I tend to agree, because I think Paul Tenorio knows his stuff about that, especially that topic. But B, there is no fan engagement about like about player trades in MLS. If USL can kind of take advantage of that, then let's do it. But so I don't know if this portends that, or if it was just a bad situation that both teams saw an opportunity. I really couldn't tell you, but it was cool, and something that I like to see, and maybe we'll see more of it in the future.
Well, and I'm hoping he starts off with a bang. FC Tulsa plays Louisville City this week. They've got Louisville City has 2 games in the bag, over us, and I hope that they earn 0 points.
Go and get smacked.
And they get smacked by Goodrum. So at least for 1 week, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So good on you, lad. Go get him.
Exactly. All right. Well, that will do it for us this week. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. It was a good episode for Eureka and I to get through, because we're just all smiles here. There's nothing down in the Rowdies world at the moment.
Nope. No, I mean, like I said, thank you again for everyone listening. Make sure that you follow us. We are at RBLR Sports on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. We are at RBLR Rowdies. If you only want the Rowdies content, it's right there. And of course, we always want your comments, suggestions, feedback, praise, flowers, money, whatever you could send over to James. It helps him out. But also, wherever you're listening to this right now, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, hit that little like button, hit that little follow or subscribe button that's right there. And you could also get the full experience on YouTube. You can check out all of our hosts across all of our network. We talk Lightning, we talk Rays, we talk Bucks, and of course your Rowdies. And we're expanding. We are launching with the new USL women's team. We will have coverage of that team. It is in the works. I've already done a show kind of under that banner. They're unnamed right now, so it's just kind of USL Tampa Bay podcast. But as we follow along with their naming process, we will be covering all of that stuff. So you could get all that first just by liking and subscribing to whatever podcast or YouTube video platform that you use during the day. So with all that said, thank you again for all this. And James, it's your finale here, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. As he said, obviously, like and subscribe to us wherever you are. We are there too. And yeah, get at us on Twitter. That's where we mostly are. So please do that. And for another week in the bag, another win, another shutout, another 3 points, and another game coming up. Come on, you Rowdies.
Thank you again to everyone who came out to the watch party. We love you. You were awesome. I'm so happy we could drink and have fun. Let's do it again, guys. Come on, you Rowdies.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.